Hello everyone, and today I'm back again for another new video after a long break from my past video. I was busy along with my studies and all and didn't get any time to upload a new video. Plus I was learning tidbits and various inner concepts of configuring a window manager and what are the basic principles. Also some stuff related to system administrations to make my workflow fluent. And since I'm in college, I get also very little time to work on my studies and all, so that's why I was a bit delayed. So as you can see here, on my last video, as so far I can remember, is that I was running Genome as my desktop environment, but recently I have switched to i3 gaps. It's been around 3 to 4 months, you can say. No, not 3 to 4 months, approx 6 to 7 months I've been using this i3 gaps as my default window manager. So I've been I've been able to make my workflow very fluent enough for day-to-day tasks and all. So what I'm using is Arch Linux as my default distribution. Also, today I'm going to show you how you can install Arch Linux on your system. Now I have restored one of my old laptops which I had laying around in my storeroom. So I have restored that laptop and bring it back to life with Arch Linux, and today I am going to show you how to install that on that old laptop. So I am gonna SSH into my old laptop and okay, so here I am in the installation guide of ArchWiki, and let us proceed towards the installation. So first thing you need to do is go to ArchWiki, Arch Linux downloads, and download the latest ISO. Here is the torrent links for that, and also the the respective mirrors from where you can download the Arch Linux ISO. And after you burn it to a USB drive, you have to plug it into your laptop or computer or desktop, whatever you have. Then you need to go into your boot menu or BIOS, whatever you can call it, or UEFI. Then you need to change the order of boot and set it so that your computer boots first from your USB drive. If that doesn't occur, you need to, I think, disable secure boot and fast boot. So all of these are essential to make sure you enter into the booting process. And I think if you are opting for Arch Linux, you might not, you need to have these basic concepts or basic knowledges of how to install an operating system. Arch Linux is just an somewhat advanced Linux distribution, nothing else. It's similar to any other Linux distribution present, just with a bit of extra flavoring and customization for the advanced users. So let us proceed. So first, here I have SSH'd into my Arch Linux ISO. You can see. So I am on here Arch ISO, which is on my another laptop. And initially you won't have an internet connectivity. So if you don't have an Ethernet connection, you can also use Wi-Fi. For that you need to do IWCTL. Then you have entered here, just type help, and you get to know like device list. Here is, so let's say device list, and it will show you your device. Then you just need to type here like station, then your device name. Here we have WLAN 0 connect, then your SSID, which here you can see connect to network name. Just enter your SSID and press enter, and it will ask for your password if you have password or not. That's all. And now I have exited the process or the IWCTL window. So let me clear the terminal and proceed. So what we have here is the first part was acquiring a GPG key, verify that the ISO is original and not, on which we can skip here as I have already done. So excuse me. So now the default console key map is of the US keyboard layout. So in India, where I am right now, we all have the US keyboard layout. If you have any other keyboard layout, just do this. I'm copying it here and pasting it. Now here we have encountered a problem. Actually, in your machine you can't scroll like I am scrolling right now. So what you do is you pipe it into less, and then you can search for your keyboard layout. For example, I'm here in US, so let me search. Okay, so let me search QWERTY. So you can see all the QWERTY layouts are highlighted here. So in this way you can just search for your layout if you have any specific layout. So I'm just quitting out from here. Then you can use this command load keys, then your key map layout, to change that layout. Now you need to first, if you don't know what you have like EFI or BIOS, you can confirm that by passing around this command. Okay, I think this is not visible clearly, so let me just zoom in. Wait, how can I zoom in? I actually don't use a Brave browser that much, so yeah, here's our zoom. Okay, so this command you need to paste into your terminal. So here you can see no such file directory. I am actually on a very old laptop. I am demonstrating it right now, so it doesn't have any EFI. It is a BIOS based laptop, but if you have a EFI, this file will be found. Like for example, if I just why am I doing it? You can see this is my current machine's output. So there you go. If you have an EFI system, it will give some output. So once this is done, ensure that you are connected by giving IP link. So as you can see here, my WLAN 0 is connected. Then yeah, obviously we need to ping archlinux.org to make sure that we are connected, and you can see my laptop is connected to internet. There is no issue with connectivity. Now first thing we need to do is to set the time NTP to sync the system clock with their servers. So let's do this. Time set NTP true. Yeah, I don't know why people say that Arch Linux is installing Arch Linux is tough, because you just need to copy paste some commands from the Arch wiki. So as you can see here, I have just written here date, and it's giving me the correct time, the sync. So now here they show to do it with Fdisk. Now I am going to use Fdisk, but you can use Gdisk or any other utility. So first I am going to show you my current partition table, lsblk, and you can see here this SDA1 is our hard drive, which is a very old hard drive, currently 12 years running approx. So it's a 300 gigabytes hard drive. Also I have here SDB, which is the 16 gigs pen drive, which I am using, USB drive, which I am using for as the bootable media, which is mounted at boot mount. So make sure you don't touch this drive and only touch your hard drive which you are about to format on and all. So here I have a 2 gigabyte partition already done, because already Arch Linux is installed in this system, and a 8 gigabyte swap, also a 3 SDA3, which is the rest of the hard drive as the root partition. So I'm going to do something similar here. So just type cfdisk. If you have multiple hard drive, I think you need to specify like dev/sda, or I think just cfdisk will work. So as you can see here, if I write cfdisk on /dev/sda, let me highlight it here, you can see that it shows me my current partition table. So you need to create something like this, where one of the partition is your boot drive. Okay, so let me do one thing. I'm just going to delete everything. Okay, let me delete, then delete and delete. Okay, so I have now deleted everything. Now by default you will have a free space. If not, then you need to free some space by deleting a partition. Make sure you are deleting the right partition, because deleting a working partition might result in your data loss. So now let's click on new. So since I am on a BIOS which requires a boot partition, I am going to create a 2 GB boot partition for this and set it as primary. Then another partition which is gonna be the swap partition, because yes, I plan on hibernating it. So if you want to enable the hibernate and all functions, so you need to enable you need to make a swap partition which is greater than the size of your RAM. So in this laptop I have around 3 GB of RAM, so which is in fact DDR2 RAM. It is very old system, as I told earlier. So just for safety, because I have a hard drive space, I am allotting 8 GB of space as the swap partition. But if your RAM has if you have 16 GB of RAM, yeah, you can enable approx 18 GB or 20 GB of swap space just for safety. Okay, so let's click on enter, and here it's primary partition. And oh, one thing I forgot, here you can see your type. So this type will not be Linux, this will be Linux swap. And here let's click on new, and this will be the whole hard drive which I am going to create for the root partition. Now some people recommend using a separate home partition, but I actually don't have multi-boot in this system, so I'm not going to create a separate home partition for simplicity. So let's click on enter, and this is also Linux file system. So once this is done, you need to go on right. Another thing, the boot partition must be set as bootable. You can see I have just now made it bootable. So then we need to write. Okay, are you sure you want to write the partition table to the disk? Yes, I am aware. So let's quit out now, and again let's check, and we can see all our partitions are done. Now yeah, this is similar because I am again reinstalling it on the same system, but again if you have a different configuration, your partition table will look somewhat different. So now I am going to discuss regarding if you have an EFI system, so or a UEFI. So here you can see on the Arch wiki officially it is recommended that on a MBR system you need to create only swap and mount partition. Now why have I created a boot partition, you may ask. So the reason for me to create a boot partition is because I want to install a bootloader. Now I don't know why they officially doesn't say regarding this until you enter the Grub section, where if you have not left any space, you are just out of luck and reinstalling the whole system. So you need to create a boot partition. Now EFI partitions, now on the UEFI section they have laid out like you need to create a mount boot, EFI, then swap and MNT. 3 partitions are required, on which the EFI partition needs to be 260 megabytes of size, and a swap partition and a root partition. So also the partition system type should be EFI system partition. If we click on here, we can see where is this? Yeah, so it needs to be a FAT32 file system. So here you need to create like mkfs.fat-f32, these kind of things. Okay, so just follow this guide along if you want to create your GPT partition disk on a UEFI system. So I'm not going into that right now, so let's move on. Now we need to make the file system for the partitions we have created earlier. So to create the Linux file systems, we need to specify mkfs.ext4 space the partition name. So and for the swap file, we need to create we need to pass command like mkswap. So let's do these both. So mkfs.ext4 4 /dev/sda which one was it? Okay, SDA1 was it. Okay, so SDA1 was our boot drive. So boot partition, let's give one enter. Yes. Okay, so it's done. And SDA2, okay, let's just lsblk, and SD2 was our swap partition, so we will not do this now. SDA3 was our root. Yes, so it's creating the journal and it might take few seconds depending upon your CPU. Now I have here a weaker CPU comparatively. Okay, so we are done now, and the last thing is remaining is creating the swap partition. So for that, with our SDA2, we will write mk swap. Okay, and our everything is created. Let's confirm again. Now what we need to do is mounting the partitions. Okay, so here the command is mount the partition name, then /mnt. This will be your root partition. Okay, so let's follow that. Mount /dev /sda3 to /mnt. Okay, now it doesn't say in the wiki right away, but you need to create a folder /boot. What am I writing? Boot. Okay, so you can just check boot is there. Now yeah, as you can see here, boot folder is present here, so on which our boot partition will be mounted. Now if you are on a UEFI system, you need to create like mk/EFI. Okay, and mount that EFI partition on /boot /mnt /boot /EFI. Okay, so now we need to mount /dev /sda2 or 1 /mnt /boot. Okay, so another one is swap on sda2. so this will turn on the swap partition which we have created just now. And here now you can check again lsblk, and you can see here our SDA1 is mounted at /mnt /boot, SDA2 is mounted as the swap partition, and SDA3 is mounted on the root. Mind here that your MNT will be treated as the root of your file system of your actual computer, since we are now booted from the live USB. So what's next? Let's see. Okay, so now proceeding further, they have instructed that packages to be installed from the mirrors which are defined in the mirror list. So basically, if you want to update your mirrors to the latest mirrors, you can just follow this procedure using the reflector and all. So I'm not going to do it right now, but you can try obviously. So here the minimalist install will be to just install base, but I'm not going to do that. We'll install some extra stuff which will be handy in our use case. So let's just copy it. So let's click on here packstrap, which is the command of installing Arch Linux. You need to specify the target, which is our MNT, then base Linux firmware. Now along with that we need something else, which is base-devel grub, your bootloader, DOS. Let me just search it. So Pacman, what was the name? DOS FS tools, I think. Yeah, it's DOS FS tools. DOS FS tools. Then do we need anything else? Yeah, I have text editor Vim. Also let's install mandb, the manual package, the man command which you use. So let me just explain all of this in a bit. So the base will be your base utils. Linux is your kernel. Linux firmware is the firmware supporting that kernel. Also your base-devel package includes some extra utils such as sudo and all. which you can read if you want. Just search with your search engine based and you will get to know. Grub is a bootloader. DOSFS tools is for if you want to work with FAT32 FAT file systems. ManDB also, let's install NeoFetch just to be sure, because why not. And do we need anything else? Oh yeah, network manager. Okay, so it's a network manager whose name is network manager. Yeah, funny. So let's install it, and it's populating the file system on your hard drive or target location, and it needs to download approx 400 megabytes. The size may differ depending upon the version or when you are installing it. So let's start the download, and I'll meet you all in a bit when it's done. And yeah, my internet connection is terribly slow. Okay, so as we can see here, our installation has concluded, and it's saying here now some warnings like setting your locale and all, which we are going to do right now. So let's proceed. Now what's instructed in the ArchWiki is that we need to generate an FS tab. So FS tab will keep the history of, means it will contain the list of drives which needs to be mounted at boot. So here it's let's copy this and paste it. Gen FS tab -u. Now what is this -u for? -u is here since we are considering the UUIDs of each and every drive or partition. So let's proceed, and it's done. What's instructed next? Next is we need to arch root or chroot into the /mnt. Now in case of Arch Linux, it's arch root. In other distros you might find something similar. The base command is chroot. So let's just do this since we are installing Arch Linux, and something right now happened here. Now you can see here that earlier this was highlighted and now it's not. Actually we are inside the what we can say it, the system inside the hard drive, not inside the ISO. Okay, so earlier we were inside the ISO, and now we are not. So let's proceed. We need to set our time zone. So if you're not sure about your time zone, you can just click on here and search for your time zone. So I know my time zone and I'm going to set it. Let's just copy it, paste it, and here you can see zone info, region and city. Change the region. I am on Asia and it's Kolkata timeline. So, and it will be symlinked to /etc local time. So once it's done, it's hardware clock synchronization. Let's do sys to /etc, then locale gen. So edit the /etc local gen and uncomment this one EN/US UTF-8. Now if you are on different locale, you still need to uncomment this for some reason, because some apps, like some services like dmenu and all, will break by default unless you manually configure them all. So just to be on the safe side, since I have vim installed, vim/etc/locale, we can see a .gen. Locale.gen. Okay, so now let's search for en/UTF-8. let's just comment it out and save and quit. By the way, if you all want a video me explaining how to use vim, please write in the comment box below, and I will make a next tutorial guide teaching you all how to use vim. So let's proceed further with the installation. Now we need to configure the locale.conf. Okay, I forgot one thing. Here we need to write this command locale gen to generate the locale, and you can see here it's detecting our en_UTF-8. It might take few seconds and it's done. Then we need to edit this file and add this line. So let me just copy it. We'll open vim, this file, and here your language will be selected. which we had commented before. So I'm just going to copy paste here. This is actually this one, en underscore utf8. Ignore the ellipses. This one was in which one? So this is equal to this. Whatever is generated here, you need to put it here. Okay. So once that's done, let's set up our virtual console. Now I had not changed my key map layout. If you had changed your key map layout earlier during the installation, you need to set it by specifying here. Now since I have not done anything related to that, I'm not going to do this, but if you have done, please proceed towards it. Now next we have our host name configuration. So you need to give it a host name, like let's say my host name. So I'm just going to give it here arch test. So one way is like creating this file and putting this name, but I'm going to do something different, like echo, let's name it arch test. Okay, and we need to put this in slash etc slash what was it, host name file. Okay, so that's done. Let's check host name arch test. Okay, it's there. Now we need to configure our etc slash hosts. Okay, so let's just open it. Now we need to make some few changes here. Now the general specified configuration which worked for me and might work for you all also is this one. So unless you're a network system administrator or you have a complicated networking solution which requires something completely different, do it on your own. I'm not going to show it in this video, but for the general users this one will work just fine. You just copy all this, paste it here, and you need to specify your host names. Okay, we gave it arch test, here also arch test. Okay, and everything else should be fine to go. Now you can see here, if you have a permanent IP, you should specify it there, and also some network management software which we are going to use, by the way, the network manager. So once all of this is done, proceed toward the init ramfs generation. Here you can see here it is already written that creating a new init ramfs is not required since it's already created, but again we are not 100% sure, something or another might fail, so let's just be sure again. So as you can see here, it is the latest kernel 5.10.16 currently today. I think 2 days ago new kernel was released, so we will possibly receive that new kernel soon, but for now let's get on working with this one. Okay, so it might take few seconds and it's done. So once that's done, we need to set a password for our root user by using the command password, something like that. Okay, so password, new password, let's give it a password, let's say root. Okay, I'm giving a super complicated password which is root. I don't know why this character is like that. Okay, let me just clear the terminal. Okay, now we need to use a bootloader. So let me just also if you have an Intel and AMD CPU, microcode we need to enable. So let's just install a microcode. First sudo pacman-syu grub, which we had already installed. Okay, no, first let's just update. Okay, let's just synchronize the database for sure, since nothing is there. Grub, what was it? You also need, I think, EFI boot MGR if you are on EFI, and what else? Yeah, if you are on Intel, you need Intel-U code, or if you are on AMD, you need AMD-U code. So since I'm on an Intel machine, I'm just installing this one. Now since Grub is already installed, I'm not going to reinstall it. So let me just remove Grub, install the rest. And it's installed within seconds. So now let's proceed toward the bootloader installation. So yeah, here you can see we are installing Grub, which is widely supported on almost all systems. So since I'm on a BIOS system, I'm following the BIOS guide. You can follow the GPT partition guide discussed below. So in case of BIOS or MBR, we just need to do one instruction. Okay, so we just need to write here this one, copy paste, and since our drive is SDA, we just need to replace X with A and press enter. Now it's installing and should take just few seconds. And for EFI system, you just need to copy paste this command just as usual, copy pasting blah 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 instructions, and done. So as you can see, no errors reported here. Now we need to make Grub. So how to make Grub? Once installed on a system, Grub loads if I can spell right, Grub loads the /boot/grub.cfg config, which can be generated using this one, sc default grub. So we have to just edit this file for now. Let's just do it. Okay, so as you can see here, I want everything. I don't want to hide any logs. Then here is GPT. You don't need to delete anything from here unless you absolutely know what you're doing. So just make sure that everything is okay. So now we need to do grub/mkconfig, and here's the command related to that, grub mkconfig, and the configuration file. Let's just do it, and it's done. So we can check whether Grub is, let's see, free command install or not. Okay, so let me just pull up free. Okay, so free/boot, that's too much. Grub. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a file, we have a system with Grub installed and all of the Grub mods installed. Yeah, it's starting from here. So Grub is now installed and populated correctly. What else? So if you are again not sure, you can install Grub again. Okay, you can see our kernel is detected, our U code is detected, and also the fallback image is detected. Now everything is done. Exit by writing here exit, and you have cherooted into the ISO, cherooted back into the ISO, and just type here umount -a. It will unmount all of the drives except the current running file systems, and you can check with lsbrk. Now swap is not unmounted like that, so you need to specify swap off /sda2 /dev/sda2, and it's done. Again check everything is unmounted, and yes, everything is successfully unmounted. So now you just need to do reboot and pull the USB key or CD DVD drive out of the system, and your system should be good to go. So once that's done, you should be greeted with Arch Linux, and with the Arch Linux default terminal, of course, the TTY, and you need to configure your way out. Now for the further configuration of Arch Linux, I will release further new videos along with the configuration which I am running here right now, the i3. I have my .dot files already uploaded in my GitHub repository. Feel free to check them out, and also be part of my journey towards learning Linux. So peace out.